So we have arrived at the fifth and final element in our exploration. And as a quick look back, so far we have felt the transformative heat of fire and that steady foundation of earth. And we traveled with the adaptive flow of water. And then last time we experienced the connecting currents of air. So what a journey we've been on so far. And today we will turn our attention to the element that holds them all, the element of space. And just to name it, in the West, we often think of there being 4 elements rather than 5, right? But in Buddhist texts, space is considered an essential 5th element. And I looked into this a little, so it's actually not just in Buddhism that this is true. In other traditions like Hinduism, with its concept of ākāśa, and ancient Greek philosophy has ether. So in all cases, they're recognizing a 5th element representing a foundational openness. And fundamentally, the truth is, without space, there would simply be nowhere for earth to exist, no place for water to flow, or no medium for fire to burn or air to move. So space is the allowing presence that makes everything else possible. And so, having established that it is essential, we might consider, what is space? And I've been reflecting on this over the past week. Like, how do I experience space? How do I relate to it? And I don't know about you, but when I hear the word space, the first thing that comes up is the vastness of the cosmos. That's what comes up first. That mysterious world beyond our planet. And of course, the incomprehensible scale of our universe, so the planets and the stars and galaxies and all the other phenomenon outside the protective bubble of Earth's atmosphere, is an incredible demonstration of space. But just as with the other elements, the reality of space is not just way out there. It is very intimately in here. Space is something we are constantly in relationship with, both outwardly and inwardly. So let's bring it in closer. Perhaps one of the most accessible ways we experience space is in the in-betweens, right? So for example, consider the space between my words right now, the space of silence. And in the case of sound, this silent space is the condition that allows us to distinguish one word from the next. So space gives meaning and shape to these words, which would otherwise just be a continuous stream of noise. Similarly, we can notice there is a pause between our breaths. So that brief stillness, that space, defines the breath's rhythm and allows for receiving and releasing and integration. We have to have it. Or we might reflect on the space between thoughts. On a good day, when there is space between thoughts, not always the case, but it happens, right? And how often it is those spaces between thinking that are the birthplace of insight. So all of these unnoticed gaps are the element of space, acting as the container for rhythm and meaning and life and everything. In Buddhist teaching, space, which is called ākāśa-dhātu, builds on this understanding. Space has no form of its own, yet it is the very condition that allows form to appear. It's the essential openness from which everything arises. And as a teacher named Ajahn Sumedho said, awareness is like space. It has no preferences. It allows everything. That's really profound. I'm going to say it again. Awareness is like space. It has no preferences. It allows everything. And this points to how awareness itself, distinct, of course, from our thoughts or feelings about what's happening, naturally possesses this quality of allowing, of simply witnessing. So we might say the constitutional quality of space is allowing. And nature reflects this allowing in so many ways. So this is a classic example, but I'm going to share it because it demonstrates it so well. The sky. The sky serves as the space within which all weather unfolds. And it doesn't matter if it's a big storm or a calm sunny day or a thick fog, the sky simply allows it. And if you've ever taken a flight on a stormy or cloudy day, there's this incredible moment where you break through the weather and you see that the sky is up there, always blue, completely unfazed. Have you ever had that experience? I was like, just this moment of, whoa. So no clinging, no aversion, no preferences or judgments about this weather or that weather. The sky is the wide open space within it, which it just all unfolds. And this teaches us about the capacity of our own spacious awareness. So our minds, naturally, there's nothing wrong with this. This is what they do. They often react and get caught up in the inner weather of our thoughts and emotions. This is the humanness, right? So it's not a problem. But our underlying awareness, like the sky, has the potential to serve as the space the weather passes through. So we can practice recognizing, as Pema Chodron says, you are the sky, and everything else is just the weather. So we see this allowing quality of space elsewhere in nature too. I saw this week, really just saw it so clearly. So a clearing in a forest. So that openness, the break in the thick canopy, is what allows more resources, more light to reach the ground. It makes space for seedlings and wildflowers and all sorts of new life to emerge and grow that might not make it on the floor of a dense forest. And this offers a wise example of how creating intentional inner stillness and space in our own lives. And I'm not talking about some great clearing of your whole calendar here, okay? So let's be realistic. These can be small spaces, a pause, a few moments of quiet, the decision to be here today. Clearing this kind of space can allow for such deep nourishment and really creates the potential for insight and growth in our lives. And of course, just like with all the other elements, the way we experience space and our capacity to be nourished by it depends on its relationship with the other elements and with our needs in each moment, which change. So we were talking about this in our check-ins. So I think we all know what it feels like when we have too little space. Anybody have no idea what that feels like? I know this one personally really well. It's such a chronic challenge in our modern world. So not a personal fault or failure, but the mind can feel crowded For me, the body gets really tense. Heart can be contracted. I can feel overwhelmed and reactive, like I can't catch a full breath. Or I'm trapped on an endless treadmill of doing and producing and achieving. You know that place? So just like all of nature, we need space to thrive. It's an essential element in our own lives for growth, for insight, for softening, for unfolding. And other times, there is also the other end of the spectrum. We might experience too much space, and this can feel like disconnection. It can feel like emptiness, being untethered from other elements or the nourishment of community or belonging to ourselves and our world. But in either case, we can learn to cultivate the right relationship with space, which shifts from moment to moment, not through judgment, not through striving to get it right, but through meeting our experiences, befriending our moments, and sensing into what's needed. So it's about recognizing that awareness itself is the space within which all of practice and life unfolds. So perhaps this is where our journey through the elements has been leading us, to remembering this spacious awareness as our true nature. That sky is there all the time, beneath the weather. So as we turn to our meditation, we're going to practice with remembering ourselves as spacious awareness and allowing the whole spectrum of direct experience to arise and pass within this vastness of living presence. And as seems only fitting today, I'm going to leave a little more space as I guide us today. So we're going to leave room for whatever might want to unfold. Okay? So let's practice, my friends. And I'm going to invite you now, as you prepare the body for a period of stillness, to invite in a sense of spaciousness into this practice right from the beginning. So you can really take your time choosing a posture, arranging the body in whatever way would serve you that feels both grounded and open. And when you feel ready, you can close the eyes or soften the gaze. And as you arrive, I invite you to open as fully as you can to the sacred space of this moment. With great kindness and interest and care, notice what it's like to really be here. With that spirit of allowing it all. And recognizing that there are no edges to the space of now. And we'll begin by sensing the space within the body. The spaciousness in the lungs as the breath enters and leaves. The hollows of the throat and the belly. Space inside the ears. Sense of openness in the heart. Can awareness rest inside this body, not as a solid form, but as a constellation of living spaces? Pockets of air, silence, stillness, alongside the flow of whatever weather, whatever sensation is there. And then widening the attention to sense the space around the body. Notice the space in contact with the skin. Sensing the volume of the room you're in. Spaces between the fingers and toes. A larger space we share. Noticing how this outer space and your inner space are continuous. No real boundaries. Just a seamless field of presence. And attending now to the spaces in between. Quiet pause at the top and the end of each breath. Noticing the spaces between any sounds that might be present. Tuning in to the spaces between thoughts. Exploring and befriending these precious in-between spaces and the way they give shape and meaning to all of life. If the mind wanders, it's no problem. Just noticing you've been gone and relaxing back into the sacred space of this moment with openness and lightness. No agenda, just noticing and allowing whatever is here. You can begin again however many times it takes. And in the last few moments of our practice, I'll invite you just to rest as spacious awareness, allowing, witnessing, nothing to manage or improve. Only this vast, tender openness in which all of life unfolds. And we'll close with a poem called Long After the My. I used to say my awareness until one day I laid down on the forest floor and cried all the tears of years hidden behind the mask of good. And instead of turning away, the moss dried my tears and cradled my head with a tenderness I thought had been reserved only for babies and flower petals. Nearby, a bird sang its support. I hear you, I see you, I'm with you, it trilled. With such heart, it broke mine open. And I remembered her then, my mother, the earth, and how through her ancient eyes, I was still both baby and blossom. So tiny, so temporary, not separate from awareness, but of it. A breath within the breathing forest, received and offered inside a vast and quiet space. And it was so clear then that this spacious presence, awareness, will remain long after the my has gone. And remaining spacious as you emerge slowly from this practice. Inviting some deeper breaths or a little movement into the body. A stretch. Mm. Opening the eyes and inviting the light back in a little at a time. Thank you for your practice, my friends.